All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Kristen Alexander, and I am one of the member relations specialists at United Recyclers Group. Today we have a webinar co-hosted with Mitchell1. We have David Portman, who's going to give you a little bit of rundown of what they do and what their product services look like. For those of you who just jumped on for today, we're going to do a drawing at the end of the webinar after our Q&A for $100 off our conference in 2020. So if you want to stick around, we'll do that drawing there at the end. If anybody has any questions, there will be a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. There's also a chat function if you want to ask David any questions. And with that, David, I'll let you get started.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate it. So I'm assuming for some of you guys, this may be a product you've already been exposed to, and for others, it may be your first time really seeing it. So just wanted to take a quick look at the Protoman product, kind of some of the resources we have available and how this can bring value to you at each one of your business locations. So before we even get logged into the product, would love to show you guys some great resources that you have available to you at all times. In the lower left-hand corner, there's a button that says Get to Know Protoman. If we click on that, it's actually going to take us to our Training and Support Center. From the Training and Support Center, you're able to view a variety of resources, including documents, videos. There's even a quiz in there that you can take to really give yourself a little knowledge check and gauge how well you understand the product. But you can see as we go to documents, they're broken down and segmented into the various components that are contained within the product. So if there's a specific location that you want to go, maybe you want to know how Protoman operates in a mobile environment, we can click on the corresponding link and it'll take you right there. From the Videos and Quizzes tab, there's an embedded player, so you don't have to go out to any other website. You can play the videos right here on this page. And we've got our playlist down below. You also have the ability to take a quiz, as mentioned, to kind of give yourself a little knowledge check at the end. And you can see if you look at any of the questions, it really challenges you to select a vehicle within the program, like question 2, for example, on this 2012 Ram pickup. What's the correct firing order? And that specific search might not be something that you guys are going to do in your daily operations, but like I said, it really gives you, a good grasp of how well you understand the product. It forces you to go in, select a vehicle with certain specifications, and then do a focused lookup to arrive at the desired result. So I'm going to go ahead and log in now, and we can jump right into the product. So when we first get into the product, there's a few different ways that you can look up a vehicle, and all of them are valuable depending on what you're looking for. The vehicle history is location specific. So, each one of you, if you had a subscription to the product, would have your own vehicle history. The vehicle history is going to store the last 50 lookups that you've done. So if you have a situation where, you have a same vehicle come in, you're looking to remove the same part, or even start on something at the end of the day and want to pick up where you left off the next day, you can go through your vehicle history to get right back to where you were. VIN or plate to code is another great feature. If you have the VIN number handy, on the computer, you can obviously copy and paste it. Also license plate. If we've got the license plate in front of us, we can type the license plate number in. It's important to remember to have the correct state when we're doing this, and you'll see when we hit look up, not only does it decide or determine and pull what the VIN number is from the plate, but it gives us our year, make, model, and engine up here at the top. And if that's a vehicle we were looking at, we would just hit use this vehicle and hop right in. Vehicle selection is going to be our standard year, make, model lookup. Once you've selected the year, make, model, and engine of the vehicle, same thing as before, you'll be able to hit use this vehicle and hop right into the program. You do have the ability to get more granular when it comes to drive type, transfer case, everything else. That only really comes into play when we're doing certain things, right? For example, if we were looking for information on how to remove the differential on this truck, and we didn't specify whether it was 2 or 4-wheel drive, it would reprompt us, to ask, hey, what's the drivetrain look like on this? That way we know the right information to deliver as a search result. Right out of the gate, I want to draw your attention to a few things on this front page here. We've tried to design this front page, to be tailored to what I guess our users want to see when they're using the product. So across the top left to right, we've got these quick links. This will take you quickly, to the information that it indicates on each of the links. We've got our complete list of technical service bulletins here. You can click into any one of the bulletins for more information. So in your application, if you're removing a specific component or something like that, it might make sense to understand whether or not there's a TSB surrounding the components or the component systems that you're working with. Again, moving left to right, we've got all our fluid capacities, tire fitment, everything else right here and readily available right on this home screen. With the wiring diagrams, we've got a couple different ways to look them up. As is the case with all these other quick links, this is going to give you the comprehensive information. So if we know right away all we need is a wiring diagram or something like that, we can hop right in, go find the diagram that is we want to look at, and get right into it. However, as we're searching through the program for a specific component, anything else, those diagrams will be presented to you throughout the course as well. For those of you that haven't seen our diagrams before, and I don't know how much particularly you guys would use them in what you do, but we've got very interactive diagrams. So you can see everything's in full color, nice and easy to see. I have the ability to make it larger or smaller on the left-hand side. And you actually have the ability to select wires within the diagram as well. So I could click on the wires that I want to see. It's going to highlight them for me. You can click on a connector or a component and it'll highlight everything that's associated with that. You also have the ability to remove the wires that you don't want to see. So if we've got something like this that spans multiple pages, we can start on page 1, highlight what we want, and move right over to page 2 to pick up where we left off. Down below, what you'll see here in our top 10 lists, and it says based on analysis of almost 600,000 repairs, looking at work orders, repair orders for things like complaint, cause, and correction. On these vehicles, these are the most commonly replaced components, trouble codes, symptoms, and then specifically in ProDemand, the top search lookups. So, we're taking this real world data, people seeing these vehicles in their shops every day and letting you guys know what they're working on. So if we're thinking about, salvaging a rotor or a brake pad or, whatever the given part or component is, having this type of information to supplement what you're doing and kind of know where the failure points are, frequency of occurrence is going to play a big part as well. I'm going to go ahead and show you how the search feature works. Let's say we know the component that we want to take out. Well, how do we get to our instructions on, how to pull it out of the vehicle? Simply type in the component that you're looking for. You can see just like Google, when you start typing something in, it's going to pre-populate results based on the letters that you've inputted. And when we get to our search results, we'll just take alternator right from our search results. As I mentioned before, we didn't give it enough information yet. It does need to know what the transfer case is, so I can go ahead and select that, and it'll get right back to where I need to be. So now, when I go to my technical service bulletins, you can see that the list is significantly shorter than it was before. So these TSBs are going to be directly related to the component or component system that you're searching for. So if we're pulling this part out, now we know specifically we want to get the alternator out of this vehicle. Here's all the TSBs that kind of, pertain to the starting and charging system within that vehicle. So again, kind of giving you that supplementary information so you know what you're dealing with. Top repairs, and I don't know how frequently or not frequently, this would provide value to you and your specific application or use of the product. But it's great because it's taking, out of those work orders at 586,000 number of repairs that we referenced earlier, the times that the alternator was replaced, graphed over mileage, frequency of occurrence. You can see, battery battery or cable terminals, starter motor, the other components that are kind of failing at the same time. So we know if we've got this vehicle and it's kind of in that 80 to 100,000 mile range, there's a higher frequency of occurrence of alternator failure. So it might be one of those things where we need to even check and double check, whether or not the component or the alternator is working properly. All of your specifications will be easily found under the Specifications tab. As we scroll down, you'll see that our search term is highlighted. Chevy calls it a generator. I call it an alternator. Anytime there's a term that has, more than one term for it, depending on who the manufacturer is, we have a built-in thesaurus. So you just type in what you're familiar with, and it'll get you to the right place. We can get right into our OEM test procedures, make sure it's working properly, and it'll give us our step-by-step. Something that's worth mentioning is anytime you see text that's written in blue as opposed to black, it means that it's a hyperlink. So if we're going through this circuit system verification and we're going through our steps and it's telling us to refer to the charging system test, we can actually click on that and it's going to bring us right to that test. As we're continuing to go along, we might need to do the battery inspection test and click on that, and it's going to take us right to that information. And it might seem like, we're getting kind of far away from where we started, but we leave a nice little trail along the top for you. So once you've finished with a particular step or a particular piece of information, you can easily go back to right where you were before you got there. You'll find guided component tests when available under the guided component test tab. This is something I should have mentioned before I pulled it up, but we have two different types of information within the program. One type is what we call OEM data. The other type is SureTrack. The SureTrack data is that real-world type information, the repairs and the fixes and the tips, the information that are coming from people like yourselves out there in the field. You can see now our wiring diagrams is going to give us our starting and charging circuit. So again, providing relevant content based on what your search term is. And then we can get right into our remove article, from the same page. Anytime there's any sort of picture, diagram, exploded view, you'll always be able to view it full screen and print it out if you need to. And from that same page, we're also able to get over to parts and labor information as well. You can see it brought the search term with us, so we're already in the electrical and the charging system. All we have to do is click on the appropriate labor operation, and there we'll get our skill level, our labor time, and subsequently what the warranty time is for that labor operation as well. We can also move over to the parts tab and see what our OEM parts costs look like and what the OEM part number is. Inversely, if we already know what an OEM part number is and we're looking for information based on a part number, one of the new features that we've added to Protoman is you actually have the ability to look things up by part number. So if I go back to my OneSearch Plus here and jump into my search box, I can select part number, and now I can do that same search based on the part number as opposed to based on the component. And you can see I put in the alternator part number. It's going to give me alternator in my results, and it's going to take me to the exact same place. Does anybody have any questions? Is there anything that I can help provide more information on?
And again, if you have a question, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. There's also a chat function. So if you have a question, you can go ahead and type it in, and we'll address those as we go. David, I don't see any questions.
Okay, I think I'm good then. If you guys need anything, I will type in the chat box my contact information, and everybody will be able to see that.
Perfect.
Let me adjust all panelists and attendees. I'll just type my information in real quick. That way they've got it. If you guys do come up with questions after the fact, you know, if there's anything else that you'd like to know, please feel free to reach out anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. So